bring the crowns and heads of conquered kings to my city steps. You insult my queen. You threaten my people with slavery and death. This is Sparta! Spartans! What is your profession? This is where we hold them! This is where we fight! This is where they die! On these shields, boys!
The scenes you just watched are from the blockbuster movie 300, released in 2006, directed by renowned filmmaker Zack Snyder. If you've seen this movie, surely you must have experienced goosebumps moments before the grandeur and indomitable spirit of the 300 warriors fighting against the mighty enemy army. This film is based on a true event, the greatest battle in world history. This event represents the disparity in numbers, but unwavering determination to defend every inch of their homeland. What was the context of this battle? And do the details in the movie really accurately depict all the details in the Battle of the Hot Gates and the legend of the 300 Spartan warriors? This video will give you the answers to all these questions. The Persian Empire, also known as the Kingdom of Persia, was once a powerful empire in ancient history. Under the reign of Cyrus the Great, he expanded his power, conquered wealthy empires of that time, such as Babylon and Libya, to consolidate the Persian Empire and make it the largest empire in the world. All of this served as a stepping stone for the Persian Empire to plot conquest of Greece and expand its territory into European. During the reign of King Darius I, Persia officially launched an invasion of Greece after their envoy was thrown into a well in Sparta. This is reminiscent of the scene where King Leonidas kicked the Persian envoy down the well with the famous line,
"This is Sparta!"
In reality, that was just a fictional detail in this film, while in history, that story took place in the past under the rule of King Darius I, not Xerxes. Outraged by this provocative act, the Persian army began attack on Greece. They marched towards Athens, camped at the Marathon Bay, and then suffered a historic defeat there. The Persian army was forced to retreat to Asia, but King Darius never gave up his ambition to conquer Greece. However, before this ambition could become a reality, the king of Persia passed away. The throne of the empire was passed to his son, Xerxes. The defeat in the Battle of Marathon was like a slap in the face to the mighty empire. Xerxes decided to carry out much larger-scale invasions. He implemented forced military conscription and assembled an army of enormous numbers. It was a topic of debate among historians, but later it was agreed that, in the second invasion of Greece, Xerxes brought between 100,000 to 300,000 troops to Sparta. That is an enormous number, but for the Persian Empire, 300,000 troops were nothing compared to the population of Persia at that time, which accounted for 44% of the world's population, over 50 million people. A long-term plan was prepared. Xerxes the Great, along with military experts, decided to march towards Euboea, through Thrace and Macedonia. In the spring of 480 BC, Xerxes the Great successfully occupied northern Greece. This served as a springboard for an attack south, towards Thermopylae. To prepare for the Persian invasion, 30 small states of the Greek Federation, along with Sparta and Athens, organized a conference to form a military alliance. Sparta, with the strongest military, was chosen to lead this alliance. However, at the time when the Persian army was preparing to invade Greece, it coincided with the Carneia festival of Spartans. According to the customs of this festival, Spartans were not allowed to go to war, which had caused them to miss the classic battle at Marathon 10 years earlier. The first time in Greek history, the federations in this empire sat down together to establish an alliance against Persia. The War Council met at the ancient Corinth Temple, with the participation of states such as Sparta, Thebes, and Thessaly. The Greek alliance against Persia acknowledged that this was an unequal battle, and their goal was only to prevent the Persian invasion, not to wipe out an army of up to 300,000 people. However, the plan for a land battle was quickly abandoned because they would be crushed by the overwhelming numbers of the Persian army on flat terrain. Instead, they decided to push this battle to the Thermopylae Hot Gates, a narrow and dangerous area surrounded by steep cliffs. This terrain would greatly reduce the numerical advantage of the Persians. In the movie 300, there is only one problem. This was also the time of the Olympic Games. According to Greek law, nations are not allowed to engage in warfare during the Olympics, and if any ongoing war, it must be suspended. Therefore, the politicians of this country all opposed King Leonidas bring troops to block the enemy's advance. They wanted to wait until after the festival ended to begin the march against the Persians. Leonidas believed that the current situation was too urgent, so he decided to bring 300 best elite guards for defense. The message from the Spartans was clear. They wanted to encourage the southern army to fight and not surrender to the enemy. Even if they had to sacrifice themselves, the deaths of the Spartans would not be in vain. In the movie 300, King Leonidas bravely marched with only 300 warriors to the Hot Gates to block an army believed to be immortal that was led by Xerxes. However, this is just a fictional detail in the movie. In reality, King Leonidas received a lot of help from other city-states. There were about 3,800 soldiers from the Peloponnese, 400 Thebes, 700 Thespians, 1,000 Phocians, and many other reinforcements. When they arrived at Thermopylae, King Leonidas had about 7,000 soldiers under his command, which was still a small number compared to over 100,000 Persian troops known as the Immortals. The immortal elite forces that King Xerxes brought were meant to turn Greece into ashes. Thermopylae was a perfect defensive position for the Greeks. It only had one weakness, which was a mountain trail that could allow the Persian army to pass through and attack from behind. King Leonidas was aware of this crucial weakness and stationed 1,000 Phocian soldiers to guard it. According to legend, before the Battle of Thermopylae, King Xerxes sent an envoy once again to persuade the Spartans to surrender. They made many promises, including the assurance that the Spartans would be spared and allowed to live on their own land as friends of Persia. They would have it all as long as they surrendered unconditionally. Of course, King Leonidas rejected the Persian envoy's offer. Persian envoy then threatened to destroy the Spartan army with arrows that blocked out the sun, implying that they had such a vast number of archers that they could unleash a rain of arrows capable of burying any enemy who dared to challenge them. In response to this challenge, King Leonidas boldly declared, his army will fight in the dark. This scene also appears in the movie 300, with laughter shaking the land of Sparta as they withstand the enemy's rain of arrows. When the Persian envoy returned, Xerxes didn't attack immediately. He waited 4 days to demoralize the Spartan warriors before advancing his troops. However, Leonidas's army repelled each wave of enemy attacks, buying time for reinforcements to fortify the strongholds in Greece. As the bravest and most skilled warriors, the Spartan utilized the strategic position of the Hot Gates to form a phalanx formation. This formation was arranged in a rectangle, consisting of shields and spears tightly packed and pointing outwards toward the enemy. The phalanx formation created a solid shield wall and thrusting spears that made it difficult for the enemy to launch effective attacks. Essentially, it closely resembled the formation depicted in the movie. However, the Spartans in real life didn't possess muscular physiques as they appear in the movies. Instead, they heavily relied on full body armor as well as protective gear for feet and chest. This was so important for the Spartan to defend and shield each other against the waves of Persian attacks. However, King Leonidas didn't anticipate the betrayal within his army. Ephialtes betrayed the Spartans by revealing the secret mountain path to the Persians that allowed them to flank the Spartan defenses. Ephialtes accepted bribes from the Persians to willing sell out his homeland. This was the key for Xerxes' army to break through the Hot Gates defended by Spartans. Upon learning that his army was about to be trapped, King Leonidas proposed that his forces could retreat. Many agreed with this suggestion and fled, but around 2,000 warriors chose to stay and fight, including 700 Thespians, 400 Thebans, and 300 of Sparta's best warriors. Remember that The warriors other than King Leonidas' 300 guards were not trained from childhood, and they didn't have the ideal of fighting and sacrificing for honor. Therefore, their choice to stay until the end to protect their homeland was even more praised than the 300 Spartan warriors. King Leonidas was wounded many times, but still fought with his sword until his last breath. After King Leonidas fell, the brave Spartan warriors continued to resist the Persian army to protect the king's body, pushing back the Persian forces 3 more times until the last warrior fell. The sacrifice of King Leonidas and his army was not in vain, because the other warriors had enough time to retreat. They ran back to Athens to report the news and evacuate the people. When the Persians invaded the citadels, they found them all empty, because they evacuated early. Furthermore, the Greek army had time to regroup and strengthen their forces to resist the invaders. Eventually, the Persians suffered a heavy defeat after the Battle of Salamis, a naval battle that went down in human history, with around 300 Persian ships sunk, while the Greek losses only about 40 ships. This defeat, along with the resilience of the Spartans in the Battle of Hot Gates, protected the young Western civilization from the expanding power of the Persian Empire. The bravery and valiant fighting of the army commanded by King Leonidas make us question, would history be rewritten if there was no betrayal? How many troops would the Persian Empire put in here to crush this region and invade Greek territory? Thank you for watching the video. I'm Honey Badger. Don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel to receive the latest videos. Now goodbye, and see you in the next videos.